Lieutenant Colonel Bill Cowan and former White House and National Security Council staffer Gillian Turner join me now. Gillian, let me go to you first. The idea that somehow these more frequent attacks on soft targets, deadly successful attacks on the part of terror, is an example of them losing.
I mean, look, Secretary Kerry used the word desperate. I think a better adjective here would probably be the word adaptive. ISIS is definitely being squeezed in Iraq and Syria inside their caliphate, but at the same time, they're making progress outside of that. They're making tremendous inroads into other countries, into the heart of Western Europe with the attacks in Paris and Brussels, and now we're seeing them penetrating Turkey as well. So it's important to keep in mind here that we're not just fighting this war against ISIS on the ground in Iraq and Syria, we're now fighting them globally.
Colonel Cowan, of course, every time one of these attacks occurs, the debate is reignited over how do we actually finish off ISIS? Do we go along with this slow drip sort of method that President Obama said today is working? We are going to defeat them in Syria or Libya. Do we become more aggressive, which puts more American lives at risk, but perhaps is the ultimate solution?
Well, Charles, I don't want to take anything away from the young men and women who are out there fighting in that war against ISIS, but we're not fully engaged by any means. A lot of those military men and women wish that we were. We have opportunities. We missed our biggest opportunity when most of the ISIS command leadership was hanging around a couple buildings in Raqqa. We could have devastated that. You know, Raqqa ends up being the symbol to all these jihadis around the world that want to go and become part of ISIS. But just as Gillian just said, it's not about Iraq and Syria anymore. It's about Boko Haram in Africa. It's about Al-Shabaab in Africa. It's about Abu Sayyaf in the Philippines. It's about Taliban groups who've now pledged their allegiance to ISIS. Across the entire globe, we have entities and elements pledging their allegiance to ISIS, and we're not even engaged with them on any high level, much less are we engaged against ISIS proper in Iraq and Syria.
So, Gillian, what is the solution? Now, it's interesting, Colonel Cowan talked about the Philippines. They just elected a real hardcore guy who says he's going to go after the rebels there. It's going to be carnage, and he's going to get the job done. Is that what the world needs? Just leaders, new leaders who are willing to go out there and really put on the sort of attack that maybe we would have been appalled by at a different time and era?
I think militarily we do need to be, the anti-ISIS coalition needs to be more aggressive in terms of fighting ISIS, but it's not only that simple, right? There's this ideological component here that we're also not doing a very good job on, to be honest. And that means fighting radical Islamic ideology, trying to prevent the spread of these ideas across countries, across continents, and helping people be attracted to the ISIS cause. I think that that's equally important here to the military campaign if we want to talk about long-term results, right? Because we could, you know, even if tomorrow, if we could destroy all 20,000 ISIS fighters that are in the Middle East today, they would repopulate soon. So we need to get the military strategy right first and then really focus on the ideological strategy.
Well, Colonel Cowan, how do we do that? You know, a lot of people are saying if we cut off the head, if we crush them in Raqqa, push them back in Libya, then that would erase the caliphate. That would make it less of an alluring sort of organization. It would sort of, you know, get some of these potential lone wolves to say, hey, I don't want to get in bed with the losing organization. But if we can't beat them that way, it sounds almost hopeless.
Well, it does have to be a two-pronged attack. Gillian's right. And unfortunately, while we have a coalition, a military coalition that talks about going after ISIS, this administration, and I'll be equally critical of the Bush administration because I was involved in programs at one point trying to get the moderate Muslims, the outspoken ones against the radicals, organized to start putting the word out there that there was no upside to radical jihad. But it does have to be a two-pronged approach. We need a coalition of people, of countries, of entities, of efforts, of funds that are really going after the ideological side. And there's plenty of moderate Muslims out there who would engage with us in that kind of activity.
Right. Of course, they have to trust that we're going to have their back throughout the whole process. Guys, thank you both very much. Great stuff. Appreciate it.